Okay, let's get started. Thanks everyone for making the time to tune into today's webinar. My name is Amanda Gomez and I'm an account executive here at Feedvisor. Today we're going to be talking a bit about fast shipping methods across the top e-commerce marketplaces. I'm joined by the knowledgeable Michael Krakaris, co-founder of Deliver. Deliver provides fast and affordable fulfillment for these top e-commerce marketplaces. Now, before I hand things off to Michael, I want to quickly introduce Feedvisor. Feedvisor is an end-to-end platform for Amazon sellers. With machine learning and human expertise working collaboratively, Feedvisor provides actionable insights for every aspect of your Amazon business all in one place. Whether you need profit-centric repricing, fully automated advertising optimization, and/or key data and analytics to support business growth and identify blind spots, Feedvisor will partner with you to drive ROI across all aspects of your Amazon operation. I also want to briefly mention that there will be a short poll at the end of the webinar and plenty of time for Q&A. If you have questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to enter them into the space below, and we will try our best to get to all of them. And with that, I'll hand things over to Michael.
All right, guys, just waiting to show my screen here. All right. Thanks so much, Amanda. From here, we'll just go ahead and get started. So as part of the agenda, what we'll do is run through, number one, kind of origins of fast shipping. Where did it kind of all start? Why is it important? We'll talk through fast shipping programs today, and we'll focus on the big three marketplaces. And that Deliver, we kind of classify the big three as being Amazon, Walmart, and eBay. So we'll run through those three fast shipping programs. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of fast shipping, and we've kind of compartmentalized it into three core benefits. Number one is search prominence, and we'll talk about this flywheel effect you see with search that a lot of you guys are probably already familiar with if you run aggressive advertising on Amazon. Second, we'll talk about buy box improvement, especially if you're a reseller or if you use Feedvisor quite a bit. Last, we'll talk about how we kind of can a little bit shift the focus away from price to service and to the quality of good. And then lastly, we'll talk about how do you get started on each of the different programs, kind of what does that layout look like. And as I kind of talk through this, leave your questions in. We'll have some time for questions at the end of this. Want this to be a really kind of good time to just kind of talk and talk through a few of your different questions on the different programs, try to be as open as possible. So then going into it, we'll talk about the origins of fast shipping. This really all started with Amazon. They pioneered the concept back when they launched Prime. They launched Prime, I think, around 2006, really. And they started it a little bit quiet in that they started on their 1P owned inventory. So as you guys are familiar with Amazon know, you have 1P and 3P. 1P is Amazon owned inventory. 3P is, for third-party marketplace. And they started Amazon Prime on the 1P selection, on the stuff they own that they already knew was well distributed across their warehouse network. Then what they did is they enabled a lot of marketing spend. They launched a lot of different campaigns around Prime. And they started doing that more like 2008, 2009, as they got more and more selection enabled on Prime. That kind of went hand in hand with their marketing spend. Then what they did is that they enabled third-party sellers to get access to their Prime program. And so they enabled it, and they basically said if you were on FBA, your items would automatically become eligible for the Prime badge. And what this did is that it actually created a whole different type, a generation of seller. And this kind of, you saw it in 2010. 2010, 2011, 2012, Prime kind of goes from, kind of consistent but mediocre growth to just explosion. And it's when they start hitting a critical mass of selection, it's also when they really turned up the ad spend. And what you saw were sellers like eTails, who eTails even got started 2012, 2013, but they were 100% on FBA. And so all their items were automatically Prime eligible. They got really beneficial placement in search. They got beneficial placement on these campaigns, promotions, and you see this incredible growth trajectory of them. When you talk to a lot of the top 100 Amazon sellers today, a lot of them got started, 2012, 2013, a few years after, Prime really started taking off, and most of those guys were all kind of centered on this FBA model. And you see this huge sales lift that we talked about. So the fast shipping programs today, we're just going to talk about the big three. We're going to talk about Amazon Prime. We're going to talk about Walmart free 2-day shipping, which is a new program that's been launched by Walmart the past few months or so. And then we'll talk about eBay Guaranteed Delivery, a newer program from eBay, but it's been around a year and a half by now. And so going to Amazon Prime, everyone should be familiar with Prime. Prime is king if you're selling on Amazon. It's a night or day difference between having the Prime badge and not having the Prime badge. Here you can see just all over Amazon, you see logos for Prime. Even next to the Amazon logo in the top left, it even prompts you to subscribe to Prime. And so it's this blue badge. One thing that's really important though to think about with Prime, it's actually not tied to a shipping standard. So occasionally you're going to see Prime enabled products with 3-day shipping. Other times you're going to see Prime enabled products with next day shipping. So it is not tied to 2-day shipping as a lot of people think. And so that can vary a little bit, but the rate with FBA is the exact same, regardless of whether it's 2-day, 1-day, 3-day. So that's one thing to think about. And then so Feedvisor, Amanda can talk a little bit about on her end, how it impacts on the buy box side of things.
Thanks, Michael. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions about Amazon's buy box algorithm is that the winner of the buy box is dictated solely on price. Now, this is typically the reason why other sellers will continuously drop their price in an attempt to gain a share of the buy box. However, Amazon looks at many different variables when deciding who to award the buy box to. So after collecting a significant amount of data over the last 7 years, Feedvisor's Amazon experts discovered how much impact other variables do have on your buy box share, particularly fulfillment method. Now, this does vary by category and product. So for example, if you're selling greeting cards or perishable goods, your shipping time will be one of the most important variables because the end consumer needs to receive these items in a timely fashion. It's also important to note that Amazon considers its own fulfillment method, FBA, to have perfect scores for multiple variables, including shipping time or transit time, on-time delivery rate, and inventory depth. So fulfilling via FBA greatly increases the chances of your items becoming Prime eligible. And now, aside from having the opportunity to gain more buy box share, FBA takes the hassle out of handling customer service with your products, as Amazon will handle all questions associated with fulfillment. Now, there are additional fees that are associated with FBA that may not make sense when you're considering your margins. So we recommend performing a deep dive catalog analysis, taking your margins into consideration as well as your competition in the arena before deciding to move your products to FBA. If you'd like to learn more about this, feel free to reach out to us directly after this or download our Amazon Buy Box Playbook, which is on our website. All right, Michael, passing it back over to you.
Yeah, so I think that's something really to think about. And we're going to talk about on the Walmart buy box how the 2-day shipping badge will impact rank. But there's just it really does factor in. We've seen it that can potentially focus away from the battle being on price to shipping speed. So something definitely to think about. And then if you have questions related to different marketplace buy boxes, leave them down below. One thing interesting to consider if you're thinking about eBay, they actually don't have a buy box. They have this structured data initiative, which is kind of a lightweight buy box, but it wouldn't be kind of the buy box in the traditional sense that you see on Amazon or you see on Walmart. So on Walmart, this is the free 2-day shipping program. You can see it's a green 2-day shipping badge. This, contrary to Amazon, is tied to a shipping speed. It is only 2-day shipping. You can't get on this if you have standard shipping. An item cannot get on this if it has 1-day shipping. It's only for 2-day, and it has to be free. So there is a cost element to it, similar with Prime. Prime denotes free shipping. With Walmart, it has to be free shipping. And they have this filter on the left. Pretty much they mirrored the Amazon Prime program. So you can filter by items on free 2-day shipping. And you can see they do get priority rank and search. They're going to get priority in the buy box. We'll talk about all kind of the different ways they do that. We're the exclusive provider for free 2-day shipping on Walmart Marketplace. We have a ton of really great data around how it's impacting search, how it's impacting sales, and those types of things. And so this should give you kind of idea of how the layout looks like, very similar to the Amazon layout. Then you go to guaranteed delivery, and this is a little bit different for people looking at this. For eBay guaranteed delivery, it's definitely not. It defaults at 3-day shipping, but it's not tied to 3-day shipping. You can do guaranteed delivery on 2-day shipping. You can even do guaranteed delivery on next day shipping. Guaranteed delivery also isn't tied to a shipping cost. There's a second fast shipping tag that you get on your listing if you offer free shipping and guaranteed delivery. So on this watch, you can see it's showing fast and free, guaranteed by March 27th, and that's 3 days from now. So this listing gets 2 badges, and for that, because he's offering free shipping and he's offering within 3 days. They do have a lot of different filtering options. It's a little bit different from like Walmart. Walmart is a very simple filtering option where you can just filter by 2-day shipping and that's it. eBay has an ability you can filter by 4-day shipping, 3-day shipping, 2-day shipping, 1-day shipping. You don't yet have an ability to filter by fast and free. We'll obviously post on our blog when that does become available on the eBay site, but this is something that they've been iterating a lot as well. I don't know if for people who've been using guaranteed delivery on eBay or fast and free, it's been evolving quite a bit, especially the past 3 months. And they A/B tested a lot in terms of the site experience. They've A/B tested different filters and conversion lift on different filters and stuff. So wouldn't be as consistent as you see like on Walmart or on Amazon today. So benefits of fast shipping are really 3. Number 1 is search prominence. Search is everything if you're a marketplace seller. The best marketplace sellers are experts when it comes to search. And when you look at search prominence, we're going to talk a little about the flywheel effect after this. Then it comes to the buy box improvement. Amanda already kind of touched upon it. We're going to talk about it really kind of more in depth as we get into it. And then the ability to focus on service, kind of moving away from focus on price and more on the quality of goods. So first, we're going to talk about search prominence, and this was kind of the flywheel effect that we initially designed. And so initially we thought, okay, you're a seller on Amazon, and you're going to put your items on Prime, and you're going to put some ad spend on them. And as you do that, you're going to get better visibility on your items, and you're going to get more sales. And as you get more sales on Amazon, that'll give you more money to reinvest to sourcing more items on Prime or ramping up your ad spend. And this ended up being true for Walmart pretty clearly. And then what we saw was this outer wheel though. And I started figuring this out as I was talking to a few of the biggest Amazon ad agencies out there. And they started telling me, no, there's actually more to this equation, because the growth function, as you add more items on 2-day shipping and as you improve your ad spend, it doesn't improve linearly. It actually improves logarithmically. And what you see is as you get more sales, not only does it give you more money to reinvest, but your listing starts to index higher. So the marketplace search algorithms work on sales and reviews, are pretty heavily factored into the search algorithms. And so what you would see is that your listings start to index higher, whether that's Amazon or Walmart. And as they index even higher, that's further augmenting the visibility on your items. And so you kind of see after a month or so, this logarithmic growth curve on your listings. And so here's an example of Earthwise bags. This is on the Walmart side. They were completely net new to Walmart. They were a top 1,000 Amazon seller, private label seller, but they compete for very high volume keyword search terms. So on the right-hand side, you should be able to see like it's reusable shopping bags, pretty high volume keyword search on the Walmart side. And month 1, they just put everything on free 2-day shipping. They just got started with that Walmart ads product. Every deliver seller gets access to the Walmart ads product, and they did 69 orders. Then month 2, you could see they started ramping a little bit. So they started getting better visibility on these items. They started getting some initial reviews, and you go see a pretty substantial jump to 350 orders. Month 3, then you see 800 orders. So you see the full effect, where then you would search reusable shopping bags, and they're showing up all over the place because their listings are indexing higher, they're getting more reviews, and they're getting significantly more sales. And it's pretty fascinating with this seller. And it's not just that we saw with Earthwise bag. We kept seeing it over and over again across either private label guys or reselling guys. Kids and Such, another Walmart case here. Initially with Deliver, they were already a Walmart seller, so different from Earthwise, who is new to Walmart. This is an existing Walmart seller. They're doing $15,000 a month in GMV. Today, they're doing $43,000 a month in GMV. What they did, activated everything on 2-day shipping, and they went pretty aggressive on sponsored products. Also, for nursing pillows, it's not super competitive. You kind of have Walmart competing on their own inventory. You can kind of see that on the top level, top row. But then after that, it's just Kids and Such. And so that was really impressive. And then you can see Equinox International, they reached, this is a pretty big private label home and kitchen seller. And they are, I would say, top 1,000 on Amazon today. And then on Walmart, they were already solid, but they went from 3-figure to 4-figure daily sales numbers within around a month. So they activated it pretty quickly, but they went very aggressively on ad spend. They also did another thing where they did a lot of review optimization. So reviews are critical when it comes to the flywheel effect. So here you can see they have essentially, one of the highest number of reviews for a comforter right now, and that really helped them on the ranking side of things. It also enabled them, what they have is this very rapid iteration and testing phase where they try new products, they do a very heavy ad spend on it, they get a lot of reviews on those initial items, and then they see how does it start ranking, and then based on that, they either source similar products or they source different products. Then we can talk about Red Fox Retail. This one's really fascinating. So always think about competition. So Red Fox Retail, they resell Oral-B toothbrushes. And for them, what was really interesting is that the competition on Walmart for Oral-B toothbrushes was so minimal. And none of their competing sellers had 2-day shipping. Also, none of that stuff was 1P on Walmart. So you have extremely high volume search terms, an electric toothbrush replacement head on Walmart, and they're ranking completely top of search. And that is, and you're going from, as long as you add 2-day shipping on there, none of your competition have that, that's really going to help boost on search. You can see even there on certain items, they're losing on price, but they're still to the top of the search. And for them, within the first week, immediately they were at 300% lift in sales because there's just there's such high volume on these keywords, and the competition was so slim. You saw an immediate rank. So this also applies to Amazon. If you see some of those golden opportunities, if you guys use like Viral Launch or Jungle Scout, and you see a lot of keyword search and you don't see any sellers on Prime, I would immediately go source that item, put it on Prime, put it on ad spend, and take control of that search term. Another example here, this is something where it was a little bit more competitive. And so this client they activated their car trunk organizer, another top 5,000 Amazon seller. This is also a top selling product on eBay, interestingly. And he initially launched it on Walmart. He was bottom of page 2, and it essentially took, I think, 2 months, and then he was completely top left in page 1. He did a few interesting things. He obviously added on 2-day. He ran some ad spend on it. For him, the cost per click actually was a third of what he pays on Amazon for this car trunk organizer, so that was interesting. For him, though, another thing he did is he started running promotions on it. So here you can see a reduced price promotion. He does this very aggressively on eBay as well. So he's on eBay daily deals, and he uses that. He basically does that for like 2 to 3 days, gets a lot of sales on that listing, and that listing is going to start indexing higher for the more sales, and then he'll bring it back to the regular price. So he does a lot of very interesting pricing optimization to improve ranking on his listings, and that really paid off here on the Walmart side. You can see him, basically after 2 months getting to the top of search. So now we're going to talk about buy box improvement. And real quick, I'll kind of talk on the Walmart side how it works, and then Amanda can talk on the Amazon side what they've seen. So in Walmart, we've actually seen the free 2-day shipping badge have a pretty massive impact on buy box algorithms. We have a lot of resellers on the Deliver platform today, especially resellers on the health and beauty side. So health and beauty so far has had the biggest lift in sales on the 2-day badge on Deliver. And they tend to be some of our biggest merchants today. And here you see a Deliver seller winning the buy box. And if you look down, you can see the other sellers have actually undercut him by 2 cents, but he's still winning the buy box. And so that's pretty fascinating in that Walmart does lend the buy box to certain merchants if they're within a certain delta on price. So you don't necessarily have to win on price, but as long as you're within like 10, 15%, we're trying to figure out the exact numbers here, it will lend the buy box to you, which is pretty fascinating. And so it kind of shows how you can shift the focus away from just undercutting each other on price towards fast shipping, and that can really impact and help things. Then handing this back off to Amanda, they can talk a little bit on the Amazon side. This is a pretty fascinating case study.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So, similarly to what Michael said, we've seen FBA and Prime really impact sellers winning the buy box. So, this example is of an enterprise reseller of pest control products. They actually came to Feedvisor with the intention of scaling their business effectively and increasing their bottom line. And this client actually said if it was up to their gut instinct, they would just lower the price on their items to get more buy box share. So what they did was they worked hand in hand with their Feedvisor account manager, conducted a thorough catalog analysis, and back to what Michael said as well, looking at the arena, seeing how many other sellers are selling Prime, and they decided to transition from mostly FBM or fulfilled by merchant to 100% FBA, and they were Prime eligible for all of their products as well. So through the capabilities of Feedvisor's machine learning repricer, they saw their prices go up on many of their items while still maintaining their share of the buy box, which drove profits home. So within a few months' time, this reseller saw their revenue jump from about 100,000 a month to 300,000 a month. And this was largely due to the strategy change in fulfillment method and going towards Prime.
What's really funny here, I think, is that like we're showing kind of on the Walmart side what the impact was on sales, and it's like a triple adding the 2-day badge versus not. And then here you essentially see on a completely different marketplace, different seller, different vertical, and you see essentially what is a near triple in sales from the merchant who added the Prime badge. Now they did it through FBA, which is an awesome solution to get Prime on Amazon. But I just find it really fascinating. You have two different marketplaces, two fast shipping programs. Fast shipping programs are so similar in the way they're designed and the way they're integrated into the marketplace, into search, into the buy box, and seeing kind of similar impacts across the different marketplaces. That I found really interesting here. And then kind of going on that, we'll actually talk about, focus on service. So here, we're gonna get a little bit of a shout out to eBay on the guaranteed delivery side. The lift in sales can get a bit crazy on eBay because search on eBay can be pretty interesting for sellers who sell on eBay today, because there's just so many sellers on eBay today, and they don't have a buy box, and so it creates a very interesting and unique dynamic. So you're not necessarily going to see the same, with Amazon, Walmart, you're seeing a consistent lift and adding fast shipping tags. With eBay, it's a little bit of its own beast. But here you see a seller, and this is a deliver seller, and what's really fun about eBay is that on a listing, you can see the sales data. And basically what you do is you open up the listing, and then you can see, essentially how many sales are going on. And they also tell you at what price. So we saw a seller, we added this seller on eBay Guaranteed Delivery in June. Yeah, we added him June 1st, I think. And no, actually we added him June 5th. And for this merchant, he had done pretty much on this SKU, on this listing, it was averaging around 15, 16 orders daily. And then what you saw in June was actually pretty fascinating. What the seller did is that he went from $35.98, he took it to $39.58, but he added it with free guaranteed delivery on 3-day shipping, not even 2-day shipping. And you can see a double in sales, more than a double in sales right off the bat. And that was pretty fascinating. And then in July, he did even beyond 36. He did like 42, 43. And here you see a very interesting dynamic where essentially what happened and what we think happened is once he added the badge, he got picked up on eBay search indexing. And then once he did that, he got way more visibility because eBay has so many buyers today. It's just very hard to get their attention. And here was a case where he added the guaranteed delivery badge to his listings, got himself at the top of search in some very high volume eBay searches, and you just see a pretty massive spike in sales for his item. Not saying this happens across all the items on eBay, just because search can be very unpredictable, but it definitely helps getting that tag. And there's certain cases where you see here where it can really take your item to another lift. So going to the last slide, kind of on how to get started, there's a few different ways to get on the different programs. For Amazon right now, I would say the easiest way to get on Amazon Prime right now is through FBA. Just because everything automatically gets done and it's ready to go. We are going to be launching Seller Fulfilled Prime. It's coming within the next 2 months. And so we're really excited about that. We're in the testing phases right now with a few different merchants. Now, I'll have more information in terms of what our rates will come out to. There'll be a big announcement of when we're ready for that, ready for everyone to get into the program. So those will be kind of the two ways you can do it. You can also do SFP yourself. There are some merchants who are able to do that. However, doing it yourself and trying to do SFP on your own, it's going to be really hard to get nationwide coverage. The most I've heard is merchants, like there's certain top like 100 Amazon sellers who have 2 locations in the United States, but even with 2 locations, you still can't hit nationwide 2-day shipping. You need at least 3, really 4, to do that, and very few sellers are at that level. There's really kind of like, you have like PharmaPacks, VM Innovations, those types of guys can do it, but outside of that, it's really tough for sellers to do it yourself, SFP, and have national coverage. It's really important when you do a fast shipping program that you have national coverage. That's basically saying that every buyer sees your fast tag. The worst thing is to go on one of these programs and just do regional coverage and then be like, oh, well, I don't see the lift. And that's because, well, only 10% of buyers are seeing the badge. Then you go to the Walmart and eBay side, and that's kind of where Deliver is focused right now. So we are, like we talked about, exclusive provider for Walmart 2-day shipping. We would also give you automatic approval into eBay guaranteed delivery. So we are working very closely with the eBay team as well. And so with Deliver, you get automatic access into either of those programs on the Walmart and eBay side. Now you can self-fulfill for either program, but you're going to have to apply. They're going to put you through like the rigorous kind of evaluation process that Amazon does for SFP. It's kind of similar to that. And also think about the fact that you're not going to have complete coverage. So only a portion of buyers would see it if you're self-fulfilling. So that's the way to think about, should you go with Deliver or FBA, or should you self-fulfill it? Think about some of those trade-offs when you're looking at these different programs. I definitely recommend, if you're a top seller, you should be on all 3. You know, each of these different marketplaces, each of the big 3 are kind of catering towards a little bit different buyer base, and they do have tremendous potential. You know, even when you look at like the eBay and Walmart side of things. From there, Amanda, you want to talk a little about this?
Yes, thank you. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna take control of the screen.
Cool.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, thank you, Michael, for shedding some light on how Deliver approaches fast shipping, as well as the importance of it in the e-commerce space. We do have several questions that we'd like to get to now as a part of our Q&A, as well as a brief poll that you should see on your screen. And this slide as well is our 2019 Amazon Consumer Behavior Report. You can download it now by clicking this link right here on the screen. And as always, if you'd like to learn more about any of the ongoing initiatives we have here at Feedvisor, our new advertising solution, our data intelligence and brand optimizations, please connect with us.
Another thing, just quick shout out to some of the reports that Feedvisor has. Something that I've read a lot, and I've actually shared it with a bunch of different sellers, is their State of Amazon Marketplace report. Pretty fascinating. They had some data in there in terms of like how sellers source products that I found really interesting. The different tools that sellers use, that was also really interesting when you look at inventory order management software. So some really interesting stuff if you're looking at, okay, what are some of the top sellers doing? We like religiously use some of the Feedvisor reports because there's just some really good data in there, and they're able to survey like thousands of sellers for this.
Yeah, thanks for that, Michael. We also, just to let you all know too, we'll be launching our 2019 version of the State of the Marketplace soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Ooh.
All right, let's get into some questions. Okay. So we have one for you, Michael. What is the #1 piece of advice Deliver would have for sellers that are operating on all 3 marketplaces, Amazon, eBay, and Walmart?
The #1 piece of advice, I would say, don't treat each marketplace as the same. They're a little bit different. They're different in 2 ways. They're different in terms of the buyers that come on and in terms of the quantity of buyers. And they're also different though in the selection. And I think that's something that's really underestimated. So we have this thing that we're starting to tell sellers, the 15-to-1 rule with Walmart. So Walmart right now is 15% the GMV of Amazon. pretty much across the board. 15% in terms of monthly, page views, 15% in terms of GMV, sales, all that kind of stuff. But they're 1% the competition of Amazon. And so that introduces a very different dynamic in the way you source. So a lot of sellers on Amazon, the goal is, okay, you have very high competition, but you have huge buyer base. So what does that mean? That means go in and do private label on niche kind of keywords. You don't want to go and source Axe shampoo on Amazon because you're going to get crushed. You're either going to go after Amazon, who already owns the inventory, or you're going to have to go after a million different sellers who already own that, who are competing for that. And you're getting a very competitive buy box situation versus, going after a niche product like, we have someone who does like fermentation lids on Amazon, and that's a huge business because there's just so many buyers on Amazon, and he was able to get it where there's only 2-3 other competitors where you can easily win the buy box on that stuff. Conversely, on Walmart, we showed the example of a seller in Red Fox Retail where he's reselling Oral-B replacement toothbrush heads, and it's a top keyword search term, but there's just no competition for it. So even though it might get 15% the traffic that Oral-B replacement toothbrush head has on Amazon, it has way less competition. And so you should change your sourcing strategy based on the marketplace. That's not to say that I think a lot of sellers, they go and they cross list everything across all three, and then immediately they figure out, okay, well, Amazon doesn't work, or eBay doesn't work, or Walmart doesn't work. They all work. It just comes down to how you source, and you can get it to a very actually equal part where you can get maybe 50% of your sales coming from Amazon, 30 from Walmart and 20 from eBay. You can get to that level. It's just having a very clear strategy around each marketplace and not approaching it the exact same way.
Awesome. That's amazing insight. Thank you, Michael. We have a few more really, really good ones. What impact can I expect on conversion rates? So I'm guessing this may be applied to across all marketplaces.
Yeah, I mean, well, Amanda, I think on the Amazon side, you could probably touch on that. On the Walmart side, we measure this. So we do measure conversion rates with free 2-day shipping badge across all merchants. We averaged it at a 2.56 lift in sales. Now, the way we measure it is it's actually lift in orders. So we look at orders per day without the badge and orders per day with the badge. And that's averaged across all verticals. The verticals that do the best, so there's certain verticals above that average, obviously, and verticals below that average. The verticals above that average are health and beauty right now, toys and electronics. Health and beauty is the top. They're around, I think, almost 5x at this point. And then the ones below that would be listings that have a lot of variance. So apparel is below that. They're like 20% in the end, 30% lift in sales. And then you have a few others like that. So like iPhone cases, because you have like on a listing, you're gonna have an iPhone case, but you have like, the Samsung model, you have the iPhone models, and you have like the 6, the 5, the 4, there's like a million different iPhone models now. And so it kind of dilutes the impact on fast shipping when you look at some of those verticals. So that's on the Walmart side. On the eBay side, we don't yet have an averaged out lift for it just because it's so volatile right now. Certain items you see more than a double, and then other items you just don't see any change. And we think it's the way that eBay search works and the way that eBay search indexing works. So we're trying to learn a little bit more about it to see, are there certain things we should be doing on our eBay listings to get better indexing? The top eBay sellers all know about this. We're just trying to learn a little bit more about it. But anyway, on the eBay side, we don't yet have an average number. We have a few examples on our website of certain SKUs and what has happened. And then on the Amazon side, Amanda, I mean, you would probably know that better than I do.
Sure, yeah. So on the Amazon side, I would say that this definitely depends on category as well. Also looking at the competition in the arena, how many sellers are you competing against and what your metrics look like overall? Because remember, it doesn't solely have to do with price. So typically what we are seeing though is that when a seller is FBA Prime, they are seeing a much higher level of conversion, because just thinking about it from a buyer's perspective as well, many buyers are buying their items today in today's landscape and wanting them as soon as they can possibly get them, right? So not only does it impact the buy box, but it's also impacting the way people are currently purchasing on Amazon. They want their items and they want them fast. So we will typically always see a boost in conversion rates when a seller is FBA Prime.
Now, Yeah, so when Deliver launches Seller Fulfilled Prime, obviously the first thing we want to do is we're going to start measuring lift. I think it'll be at least what you see with Walmart 2-day shipping. It should be around that. The one thing is that there's just so many sellers on Prime. I'm just not sure if it has the same lift, but we'll see. I think it's interesting. I think Amanda's case study was really promising. But yeah, so on the Deliver side, we'll have more impact. We'll have more info on that in the next few months.
Perfect. Now, Michael, are there prep slash marking compliance requirements for sending inventory into Deliver? So similar to FBA? And if so, are there Deliver affiliated or approved prep centers that can assist?
Man, that's a good question. So on the prep side, it's the same as FBA pretty much. If you have an FBA prep team, they can do the Deliver prep. It's pretty simple. You would send to multiple locations. You'd have to make sure you have barcodes on the items. We even accept Amazon barcodes because it's really common a merchant's sending 50% to FBA, 50% to Deliver, and so we want it to be the same and make it as easy as possible. I think the other thing is like on the Mastercard, you're gonna have to put a box label. So we actually loved the way that FBA did it with the box label and how simple that was and how it improves receiving times. So we do the same thing. Makes things tremendously easier on the receiving time. You're going to see pretty fast receiving times when you send in to Deliver, similar to what you see with FBA that they've done a great job on. The one piece is, finding those warehouses that can do the FBA prep and they can do the Deliver prep. Most, I would say, the top sellers have a staging warehouse. They tend to be in Long Beach where they have it, and basically what they do is they use like Flexport or some sort of freight forwarder. Flexport seems to be the most common one. They get it into the United States. Flexport kind of drops it off at one of these staging warehouses, and then that staging warehouse essentially flips the inventory, half to FBA and then half to Deliver. Or the other thing they do is that they alternate every other carton. So one carton goes to FBA, the other carton goes to Deliver. A few merchants are approaching it that way, some of the more high volume guys. In terms of the pre-approved list of FBA prep centers, we don't yet have that. We do have a blog on Deliver on certain services that do FBA prep, but it is a great recommendation and honestly something that we're talking about really every other day at this point. Can we get a pre-approved network of Deliver prep warehouses, because it's just coming up so often at this point. So more to come there.
Great. So I'll actually take this next question, which is, what do you recommend, FBA or SFP? This is a really great one and a very, very interesting one too. We are actually seeing more and more sellers on Amazon making the switch from SFP back to FBA for a few reasons. So one of them is due to the fact that when a seller is selling SFP, which is Seller Fulfilled Prime, they have to really heavily rely on the carriers that they're using to make sure that their items are getting to the consumer on time. Now, sometimes that's completely out of their control. And so when it's out of their control and the item is late, they can get dinged on Amazon, and essentially that will heavily affect their metrics. When they're sending through FBA, that's all on Amazon. So if for whatever reason the item gets to the consumer later than it's supposed to, Amazon will take the hit on that. So the seller won't have to take the hit on that. So that's one reason. And the other is because Amazon actually doesn't release any information in regards to SFP sellers in the buy box via their API. So there's no solution currently that's getting any information from Amazon, from their API, letting us know who's winning the buy box if it's a seller fulfilled Prime seller. So that becomes an issue because the way that systems are seeing seller fulfilled Prime sellers in the buy box is as FBM sellers. So we're actually not getting an accurate sense of what their buy box share is. And that's just because Amazon is not giving us that information. And so it's becoming very, very hard for sellers to reprice their items because Amazon doesn't release information on when a seller is SFP. So we are seeing a pretty big shift back to FBA. I would recommend, like I said, doing an inventory catalog analysis and making sure if your margins can handle the FBA fees, and it makes sense to ship your items to FBA, then I would recommend doing FBA before seller fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean, on our end, I think doing it yourself is really tough. It's really tough. I think that's why we're launching SFP, is because it wasn't something that we initiated. It was something where we had so many of our existing merchants asking us to do it, where we were like, okay, there seems to be a sizable opportunity here, and a lot of sellers are hurting trying to do it themselves, because 2-day shipping nationwide on your own is just really, really tough. So hopefully we'll be able to offload a lot of those issues kind of on the reliability side. Unfortunately, we can't affect the buy box pieces, so hopefully Amazon does come out with an endpoint to differentiate SFP between FBM. But yeah, I think all of that makes sense, and you kind of see the same thing for sellers who some merchants are trying to do Walmart free 2-day shipping and ship it on their own, and a lot of those are ending up moving to deliver it because it's just really difficult to kind of do it on your own and maintain SLAs, also make sure the badge is showing, making sure you get the item on time and trying to get as much coverage as you can. It's just really tough doing it yourself versus just kind of outsourcing that.
Yep, exactly. Okay, Michael, back to you. How much does Deliver cost?
Yeah, so go to deliver.com, go to the cost calculator, input your ASIN, or your Amazon product URL, and we'll tell you exactly what the cost is. So we'll tell you what the fulfillment cost is, and we'll tell you what the storage cost is. There's only 2 fees, just fulfillment and storage. There's nothing else. There's no minimum. There's no account setup fee, none of that stuff. It's just fulfillment and storage, pay for what you use. So it should be in the exact model that you're used to and that you love with FBA. In terms of where our rates sit, if there were questions on that, we're going to sit in between the Amazon FBA multi-channel rate and the Amazon FBA for Amazon rate. So we're not quite at the level of Amazon FBA for Amazon orders. We're kind of in between those 2 rates right now. So hopefully that gives you a good idea. But on the fulfillment fee, it's fixed cost. Regardless of where you ship it to the United States, you pay that fixed cost. Like, so for like an iPhone case, it's like $5.25 nationwide 2-day shipping, something like that.
What do you mean by review optimization on Walmart? This may have been something that you referred
to.
to.
Yeah, I did talk about it, and someone caught it. So review optimization, if you're a Deliver seller, you get access to this program called Bazaar Voice. It's BAZAARVOICE. So Bazaar Voice, we have a discounted program with Bazaar Voice. They are the preferred review provider for Walmart, and they have 2 different programs. They have a program where they will take, if you're a big Shopify merchant, they're going to take your Shopify reviews and they're going to send them into Walmart, and essentially what the review will say is it'll say reviewed on yourbrand.com, just kind of in small letters next to the review. So I think it's called review syndication, is that one. The second program they have is, if you don't have a Shopify store, and I think it might be a little bit cheaper, is the sampling program. And so this is where you would send your items to I think 30 or 40 different samplers, and they will leave reviews. And they're going to leave completely honest reviews though. So don't expect it's going to be all 5 stars. And that way you can get a lot of reviews. And then on the review, it would say this is from a sponsored review person. But what it does is that these add a ton of reviews to your listing and help you initially rank a lot higher. Huge majority of Deliver sellers are on these programs right now. In addition to review optimization, there's also content optimization. So we did a partnership a few weeks ago. We announced it with Rich Context, and they do enhanced content. And on average, Rich Context is able to boost sales on a listing by 12%. And it's adding more pictures, videos, all this kind of cool stuff that you can put on the Walmart listing. So I would do review and content optimization. If you really want to try the Walmart approach, you want to really focus on it, think about all the things you're going into your Amazon listing. Like, you're doing all sorts of review optimization, you're doing all sorts of content optimization. You can do the same stuff with Walmart, but I know, like with Amazon, they no longer have a sampling program. But with Walmart, they still do. So it does present a little bit of an opportunity there.
All right. And I think we are going to wrap up there. So thank you again, Michael, for your insights. We really do appreciate your time today. And thank you to everyone listening in. I hope that you all took away some valuable insights as well. For anyone whose questions we did not have a chance to get to today, we'll make sure we follow up and get in touch with you shortly. And we'll also be sending out a recording to this webinar. So with
All
that,
right.
please feel free to reach out if you are interested in learning more after the presentation, and wishing you all the best in achieving your 2019 e-commerce goals.
Thanks for having me, and take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.